Welcome back to Retirement News Online. So the word retirement is an important reality for just about everybody. Those who are young think retirement is something a long way off. The reality is that it's important to plan as soon as you possibly can, because part of retirement planning is maintaining your financial independence. But my guest, Mark Henry, will say that retirement planning isn't all about numbers. He is the president and founder of Alloy Wealth in Charlotte, North Carolina. Mark Henry. Mark, thanks for joining us. Talk about the difference between the accumulation stage and the distribution stage.
Yeah, so that's a great one. It's two completely different things, and I guess the best way to say it is what you did to get you to retirement is not what's going to keep you retired. It's two completely different phases. So I want you to think of it this way. You're accumulating money, you're contributing to your 401, you're 40 years old, you're 20 years from retirement. Markets do what they do. They go up, they go down, but what do? You just keep going to the work, and you keep putting money in the 401 or the 403. You keep saving, raising children, doing life. That's all great. So why is it so different when you get to the distribution phase? Because you're no longer putting money in the plan, you're withdrawing it. Think of it this way. Let's say it happens to be the year the markets aren't very kind. They're not crazy down like '08 where they were 40 or 50%. Let's just say they're 10% down. And you take a 5% withdrawal that year to live on, and you just lowered your financial plan the first year of retirement 15%. This is not a recipe for success. You're gonna run out of money if that keeps going. That's why you have to have a written financial plan that shows where your money is going to come from in retirement and different buckets of money, so it's not all managed the same way. So when one bucket's down, you just don't touch the bucket that year, and you go to one of your other buckets that's not down, or maybe even it's up.
So when it comes to financial planning and retirement planning, what are some common mistakes or misconceptions that you typically see?
So the first thing is, a lot of times people will sit down with me, working with a current advisor, somebody they've had maybe 10, 12 years, they're actually happy, nothing's wrong. But they want to review. And the first thing I'll usually ask one of them after we talk for a few minutes is, well, show me what your current plan is now. And a lot of times they'll pull out statements, because statements to them and to their old advisor are what they call a retirement plan. Your statements are not a retirement plan. Your statements are a picture, a snapshot. They're actually wrong. And people say, well, what do you mean by my statement's wrong? Well, it was right the day you printed it or the minute you printed it. But if you printed it while the markets were open, it's most likely changed before the printer got done, when the ink wasn't even dry. So that's not a financial plan. A financial plan is looking at how you're currently managing your money. What's the risk, the alpha, the beta, the Sharpe ratio? What's the correlation matrix? How much risk are you taking? Putting all that data into a financial plan, talking about inflation, taxation. How are you going to get your money out of the 401s, the IRAs, in a taxable manner, the most efficient, I should say, pay the least amount of taxes, have the most efficient plan tax-wise? How are you going to handle your RMDs? Adjust how much you want to live on for inflation, and then run the thing all the way to age 95 for the youngest in the relationship. And then you have this probability of success. It's like a roadmap that shows you where you're heading, and where you arrive, the probability of getting there, and how much money you'll have when you get there.
So now the word longevity risk has become a common term when it comes to retirement planning. And what it means is that people are living a lot longer, and retirement could last 10, 20, 30 years or more.
Yeah.
What do you do if you run into somebody who just simply hasn't saved enough?
So I see people all the time that actually believe they haven't saved enough. And this comes because they're looking at these buckets of money they have, these statements, and no one's ever taken and put it into a plan and accounted for all the things we spoke about and run it all the way to age 95. So first off, they don't know. So guess what a lot of people do? They hoard, they just hang on. They're 70 years old, they want to take a trip, and guess what? They don't do it, or they take, instead of North Myrtle, they do South Myrtle. But the bottom line is, guess what? They don't spend their money because they're afraid they're going to run out, which nobody wants to run out. Nobody wants to be a burden to their children or others. I get that. But without a financial plan, a written financial plan, how do you know? Here's what we find most often. It happens all the time. We're afraid we don't have enough, and then you run the financial plan and you show them with a few changes, you'll be just fine. And they're like, wow. And it gives them freedom to do what they want to do, which is actually enjoy retirement, Scott.
Great, Mark. Thanks again.
Thank you, Scott.
He's a radio show host, and he is the founder and president of Alloy Wealth in Charlotte, North Carolina, Mark Henry. Thanks for watching Retirement News Online.